gentlemen, we're back on the relay, and today with another different movie, and it's going to be Hereditary. So if you follow along, we watched Midsummer, and I guess this is supposed to be kind of connected to it in some way. But before that, I actually have a couple movie news. First of all, did you know there was a movie about Rob Ford?
No.
It's called Run This Town. It came out in March.
Like of this year?
Yeah, I was listening to the Barstool podcast, and he like for a second just brought up blah 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 Run This Town about Rob Ford. I'm like, wait, what? And then I looked it up, and yeah, it was released in March. I think it was crap, but either way, um, received 3 Canadian Screen Awards. And I guess it's about him, but it kind of focuses on a journalist that kind of, I guess, broke the whole him smoking crack story with the video. But
Right.
apparently there's a lot of stuff that's not true in it. But like they got some big actors. I mean, they have like, I don't know if you watched Animal Kingdom, but they have like Baz from Animal Kingdom, Damian Lewis, who's pretty big,
Mm.
but surprising. I'd never heard. You would think you'd heard about it, but
Yeah. Especially here. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's weird. Must not have been well received at all.
Yeah, I mean, it had a 48%, which is better than I was expecting, but no, it's crap. And then the other news is that there's a new Adam Sandler that is in production. I'm guessing it's probably delayed because the whole COVID situation, but it's called Hustle. And I feel like there's just so many movies that have the word hustle in it. Like there's The Hustle, Hustlers, American Hustle, and now Hustle. But he plays an like an NBA scout, or just I guess it says American basketball scout. I don't know if that means NBA or if it's some lower league,
International.
something like that. But let me just read this here. It says um, Adam Sandler playing an American basketball scout who's unjustly fired and subsequently finds a talented basketball player while traveling abroad. Sandler's character then brings the athlete to the United States to prove that they both have what it takes to make it to the NBA. And it's produced by LeBron James. So
Well, yeah, Adam Sandler's pretty passionate about basketball. He plays it. He talks about it a lot in a lot of interviews and stuff. So I'm sure he's pretty excited for that.
I don't know what the kind of angle this is. Like, I feel like this could be another really good movie in Adam Sandler's position, kind of depending on what the feel of the movie is. Like, I don't know if it's going to be intense, like a drama. I don't know if it's going to be funny. I don't know what it's going to be, but that's an interesting plot. Like, I think he could do really well with that, depending on kind of the angle they take on it.
Yeah, sports movies are either really good or really bad, it seems. There's not really in between for a lot of them. So,
Especially when you got Adam Sandler at the helm, it could go.
yeah.
Wait, and he said that if Uncut Gems didn't get nominated, he was going to make a really bad one. So let's
Uh,
hope. Let's hope. I mean, if LeBron was connected to it, I'm sure he wouldn't want it to
yeah.
be that bad. But yeah, let's get into Hereditary. So this is another A24 production that Ari Aster pretty much does all his movies under. It's a 2018 American supernatural horror film, written and directed by Ari Aster, and I guess this was his directorial debut. And it stars Toni Collette, Alex Wolff, Millie Shapiro, and Gabriel Byrne as a family haunted by a mysterious presence after the death of their secretive grandmother. So you take a stab at this. What do you think about it?
So I thought for a debut film, this was done really well. It's very much like after seeing Midsummer, you can see it's very much like a stylistic piece for Ari Aster in that it's very original, the story, and the character depth is something he pays attention to a lot. And I think it's done pretty well in this film. Toni Collette is really good. She has one of my favorite scenes in the movie is her monologue at the dinner table with Alex Wolff's character, where she's just ripping into him about how she can't keep them safe from anything because she's had a lot of trauma throughout her life and she's just kind of done with everything. Alex Wolff is also great in this movie. Millie Shapiro, although she's not in it a ton, I think she's pretty creepy in the
Yeah, she
movie.
is.
And just kind of the story targets an aspect of fear that like you don't see too often, and it's in your own home, like it's with your family. While like a lot of it relies on the supernatural side of it, it's just kind of like you can't even trust the people that like you're with every single day. And yeah, I'm sure that's pretty terrifying in itself. And there were certain scenes that were pretty scary and filmed differently than I've ever really seen in a horror film. Like the what was it? The one that comes to mind to me the most is the one in the car. Like, of course, you don't expect her to die the way she dies, but then
That was
also
surprising.
the way that Alex Wolff's character, I don't know his name, he just kind of like sits down in silence
I
for like
liked that reaction
5
a
minutes
lot.
because I
Yeah.
feel like that's a very, like, not to say that I've been in that position, but if I were to react to anything like that, I don't think I would just immediately be like, oh my god.
And he doesn't want to look back. And then he's just
Yeah.
like, like he whispers, "Are you okay?" Yeah, no, I thought that was really good.
And the one subtle thing that I thought was great was how he goes to look in the mirror, but then the camera follows him back. Like it's just like a peek and then he turns away. But yeah, that was really cool. The In terms of the story, I thought the twist was pretty cool with the family cult. How like the lady who was trying to help Tony Collette grieve through all of this stuff was actually very heavily involved with her family. So that was cool. There's a lot that I didn't like about this movie, so I'll let you talk about what you liked about it first, though.
This movie has been a roller coaster for me. When I first finished it, I absolutely hated it. Like I finished it and I went upstairs to my brother and I'm like, I hate it. I did not like it at all. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that was kind of like the expectations going into it. I think I was expecting too much of Midsummer, where it was going to be like totally off the deep end, like totally different than anything I watched. And then I found, though, although it took kind of like, first of all, let me just start with the good things. Like,
Yeah,
Toni Collette and her son's relationship, that was the best part of the movie for me. I love the dynamic about how like Shorty's like sleepwalking this whole thing and like
yeah,
grabbing him, and then she'll wake up and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. It wasn't me, and all this stuff. And it's like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, imagine if you were just chilling in your house trying to sleep, and like every night your mom's waking you up doing some weird
yeah,
stuff. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought she carried it with her acting. Like, she's very believable, and it was pretty funny to see her in this movie compared to Knives Out, where she's like the total opposite. She's
yeah,
so funny in that, and just kind of like a free spirit, like hippie. But no, I thought she was really convincing, and yeah, kind of how she's just like the scene like you brought up where she's just screaming at the dinner table and she's kind of going through this whole thing by herself because her family doesn't believe her, which is pretty interesting. But I don't even know where to pinpoint. I think it was mostly the expectations that kind of hindered me from liking this a little more, just because I just felt it was a little more like a normal horror movie than I expected, where it kind of I don't even know how. That's why I said I don't like. We were talking about how we don't have that many notes, and I feel like it's because I can't pinpoint certain things. I just didn't like. It didn't feel different enough for me to be like, wow, that was crazy. It was just kind of like, yeah, it was a scary movie, and it was. I guess it was a little interesting because there was the cult aspect to it too. But I think that was also almost a little ruined for me because I kind of expected it going in, knowing that Midsummer was a cult thing and they had the same DNA. So I expected when I saw like the symbol and everything, and it kind of popped up in the different places, you expect that the grandma was part of a cult. And then the ending was just like weird. Everybody's just like naked. And I'm like, and I didn't understand why they're all headless. I think maybe that was just me not paying attention, but I didn't understand why they were just all like running around naked and headless.
yeah. There's a couple things that you mentioned that made me think of a couple of other things. Starting with just finishing off the good parts of the movie, I thought the like the themes were good in like how, like, one major thing that I actually noticed in the middle of the movie, which I kind of felt really proud of myself for finding it, but at the same time, it made me like kind of hate it a little bit more. So like, what I'm trying to say is when Toni Collette she's talking about how much grief she's had in her life, blah blah blah, all these tragic things that have happened in her family, and her job is like she crafts miniature thing. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is, right? Like, and I think the theme there is that she has no control over anything else in her life, so she likes to have control over
Yeah.
something and bring it down to scale, like a miniature figure. So that was cool, but the fact that I'm able to find out a theme that easily kind of pisses me off, because I like to go back later and then find that stuff. So that was just one thing, but I was pretty disappointed with this film in general. Like you mentioned, the biggest thing was the hype going into it. Some people are calling it a modern horror masterpiece, and I don't really see it that way. Um, Certain parts that, like, I guess were necessary for character development just seemed kind of lazy to me. Like when Toni Collette's character, she goes to the grief counseling meeting and she's just blurting out everything that's happened to her. I thought like that was just extremely lazy in terms of kind of unraveling the character.
Yeah, like too obvious, just putting it out there.
Yeah. And I guess like you could look at it in a way that you think that it's necessary for the film to kind of speed along, but I think it was just kind of lazy. And a couple other lazy points really were like the end scene where like first of all, she's just stabbing her neck in the
That's
attic,
like,
and
it
that
was the
was just like,
stupidest. Like, I saw that and like, there can't be any reason for this.
yeah.
It's
And
just for fear factor, and then she like floats up to the house. I'm just
yeah,
like, it looked so stupid. I just, and like there was just like even like the son smacking his face off the desk and then like smiling into the like, there wasn't many things original where it's like in Midsummer I was kind of really interested to see how more demented this cult was going to be and where it was going to turn. And for this I was kind of interested, but like I felt like I knew where it was going. It was just going to be some weird cult thing, and I was still waiting for the hope that there was going to be some crazy twist, because I was told that like it's one of the people were saying it was one of the greatest horror movies made of all time, and I'm like, maybe it's up there for certain people just because it's a bit different, but I feel like seeing Midsummer first didn't help it, because I felt I talked to people about Midsummer and Hereditary, and they still thought that Hereditary is better than Midsummer, but I don't know. I thought Midsummer was way better.
I think so as well. I think, and I may have even given Midsummer an even better rating had I seen this movie first and then seen the progression.
Definitely.
And yeah, in terms of everything, like there wasn't really anything overwhelming. I thought of the way the movie was shot. Um, the one the one criticism I have as well about the plot itself is like they kind of build Alex Wolff's character to try and go after this girl like in his class that he's like been trying to go after for a little bit, and then they just don't expand on
It
it.
went to absolutely nothing. The only point of it was that he goes to the party, but he was really
Yeah.
going to the party anyways. And then it didn't add any depth to his character. And then he just rips a bowl and crashes and then kills his sister. Like,
Yeah. And then he, like, I guess you're just so traumatized that you walk up to your room and then you fall asleep. So then your parents can find your sister in the car dead,
decapitated.
headless. That was kind of bizarre for me. The other bizarre thing was how Toni Collette, like, she's building the miniature scene of the area. Like, I get it's very creepy, but I think that's just the first sign of she's just over the edge. She's done. Like, she's
It
going
wasn't
off the
very
deep end.
realistic though, because
Yeah.
it's like it seemed like it really was there only for shock factor. Like, whoa, why is she doing that for her daughter's death? And it's like, I don't. It just didn't. It didn't really add anything to it. And then, did any of the whole model building add anything to the story? Like,
Just yeah, it just kind of set up that one theme that I was mentioning about how she likes it because she has control, but
she like broke all the models after.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of showed that her life was. It gave her something to smash in the end, and shows that she's kind of like breaking apart. But yeah, I didn't see any reason for it, and I guess like I don't get the naked people. Like I don't get the naked people. I don't get why they're headless, and also the blue light. Like, what did the blue light do?
I don't know. A lot of it, I think, was just related to the cult. I will admit the twist where the lady knew her family, I thought was kind of cool, but I also kind of expected it.
I saw that coming. Like, I had that written in my notes. Like, this girl definitely knows her grandma somehow,
Yeah.
because she came in too easy. She came in like, oh, don't leave, and like this girl already looks creepy, like something's going on. And also, which I don't know if you noticed, but when the daughter who ends up getting decapitated, she goes when they're at the funeral and she like looks back and that dude's like smiling.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wrote that in my notes. I'm like, this guy's gonna pop up at some point. Like, he looking stupid creepy. And then he did pop up naked in the doorway after the dad
Yeah.
burnt on fire.
Yeah, I didn't really get the nakedness either, but I think that's an Ari Aster thing as well. He likes the shock factor of being naked, I guess. Interesting directions and a lot of things about this film, but I don't really have many other things to
Yeah.
say about it. I guess you can try and analyze it more and find deeper meanings in a lot of the things, but I just don't think that it has that
I was
aspect
gonna
to it.
ask my buddy to even hop on here just because I was genuinely like curious what people got from this that made it so good for them. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like great acting. But and another part was the girl, I forget her name. Was it Joanne? Whoever she met at the girl we were talking about that showed her how to bring back her daughter, and then ends up being friends with the
Hmm.
grandma. And those photos look cheesy as hell too. They look so staged. But anyways, she was like screaming at we should look up the names of these characters, but the sons at the son's school, she was like across the street, like
Yeah.
get out, like screaming. But like I didn't get why. I don't know if they really explained it.
Well, it's just yeah, creepy stuff. A lot of the stuff was just trying to scare you, and like the the various people being hidden in the corners of scenes and stuff. I thought was kind of creepy,
Yeah.
but um
But it's like also stuff that
it's
I've
not
already
stuff
seen
that I
in other
haven't
movies.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah, like if it's gonna be scary, just go out all scary.
And there was a lot of buildup that I thought didn't pay off, especially
Definitely.
with the second act. Like, I thought the first act, out of all three parts of the movie, I thought the first act was really good.
And I thought they should have kind of built up the whole cult thing at like it kind of like everything happened and then like 10 minutes later it was over, and they
Yeah,
didn't really, there was just bare people like standing around their house. Next thing you know, he's in the tree house and he gets a crown put on him and it's over. And it was like, I feel like they didn't build up the characters, like the evil people, enough, or even the grandma. Like, I wanted to know more about the grandma. I wanted to know more about this cult, the creepy stuff that goes around. And I almost wish it totally was connected to Midsummer in some way. So it'd be kind of cool to reference it. And you'd be like, oh, there's that. But like, I didn't see like a real reference, because I feel like this was a lot more supernatural. In Midsummer, like, I don't think there was anything supernatural about Midsummer. Like, it was all pretty like realistic.
hmm
Like, there wasn't anybody crawling on walls or anything like that. So
yeah, yeah. I think I'm also just kind of over the supernatural phenomenon in horror films. I'm
it's
like
like an
that may
easy
just
trick
be
to scare
me.
people.
Yeah, but I think it's just a very easy cop out. My final rating, I'm giving it a 6.5.
That's yeah. So I gave it a 6.5 as well. And so originally when I did it, I watched the movie, and I think that's a good thing to do, is like, I feel like it was just an initial reaction, like, oh, I hated that, whatever, I'm going to give it a horrible. I gave it like a 5 off the bat, but then I'm like, okay, I got to respect the acting because it was really well done. And I did like the relationship. So I did bump it to a 6.5, but I can't put it any higher than that because I would just be lying to myself. Like, I feel like I didn't enjoy it, and I thought it could have been way better. Maybe that's because there was too much hype around it, and that was my problem for looking too much into that. But yeah, it didn't bring me anything close to what Midsummer did.
Yeah, and like I said, if I had watched Midsummer after this, I probably would have given Midsummer like a higher rating. I think I gave it an 8, and I think I probably would have given it like an 8.5 or a 9.
Definitely, I
Like,
was thinking of like bumping that up for sure after like realizing I'm like, it was one of the probably the most different horror movies I've ever seen in my life. And
yeah.
I think there's a lot of respect towards that. And I'm still excited for what Ari Aster can do next, because I feel like he can do a lot in that industry.
hmm I think we should watch some Jordan Peele horror soon. Like, I want to rewatch Us
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah. I feel like we've seen Get Out like 50
Yeah.
times and we've had to analyze it, and I don't want to have to analyze it again. But yeah, I'd be down for. I only saw Us once, so
Hmm.
I'd be good for that. But we are gonna move on now to another top five, as we always do, of course. This one, it's gonna be actor transformations for like characters in movies. So yeah, I mean, you could whatever transformation you want to do, getting fat, getting skinny, getting a bit ripped, whatever you want to do. So you can start with number five.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Christian Bale in Vice. Christian Bale has two of these on my list.
Yeah, I feel like you could put Christian Bale for all five. So I only wanted to pick one, but yeah, definitely.
um, I put him in Vice because, I put this at my number five spot because obviously it's a lot easier to gain weight than lose weight. Of course, he plays Dick Cheney, and he had to gain 40 pounds for the movie. And after being Batman, and like in terms of a lot of these, I have three that mainly involve weight loss. Um, and I think it's just like for a self-esteem thing, it could be very detrimental to your mental health, like, and
It's
not
not good
just
for
that, but
you.
your physical health as well. But Christian Bale, yeah, definitely going all out in his performances.
Yeah, he's just crazy with his weight fluctuations. Like he goes super skinny, gets ripped, gets super fat, gets super skinny. Like he's just all over the board. It cannot feel nice to like just fluctuate. Like it gets dangerous, but I mean, you're an actor, and I guess if that's how far you want to go in your role, I'm going with the person that went super skinny. And I kind of did this out of pity as well because it was a crappy movie. So all the effort he put into it literally went to nothing. They made no money. This is 50 Cent in All Things Apart. He went down from like 200. He lost, I think, 54 pounds, something like that. So he went down to 160 pounds to play a football player that gets cancer. And he got super skinny, which is pretty surprising because he's actually super juiced. But yeah, I feel bad because the movie doesn't get seen, and to go through that much work and then just nobody likes your movie must just be brutal. So I threw 50 Cent out there because I feel bad for him.
Nice. So I have Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club next. He lost about 40 pounds for that movie. Um, and I think like his character in that movie, he did a fantastic job with it. And I think the weight that he was at also played like a massive role in it. Just kind of he looks super unhealthy, and it works, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, really fit the part, and it just can't be comfortable to go down that, and like in the ways they do it too. Like to get really, there's a difference in like if you're bigger and then you lose weight and because you can probably feel better, but
Hmm.
to go from already being in really good shape, like people like Matthew McConaughey, you're just like you must feel so weak, and depending on how long the shoot is, and Jared Leto, another person in that movie that lost a lot of weight,
Yeah.
and another person that I didn't have him on my list, but I mean, he was in Chapter 27 as well, where he gained like 60 pounds. It must just be the worst. Anyways, my number four is J.K. Simmons in Whiplash. I mostly picked this because he gained so much weight, and just in terms of like muscle, he just became an absolute beast. But also in terms of how it like affected the movie, it made him a lot more of like a physical presence and a lot scarier. Like you don't expect. I mean, I guess he was kind of always in shape, but never to that effect. And then when he takes off his shirt, you're just like, Jesus Christ, this guy's a beast. So yeah, J.K. Simmons, and a great movie, fucking amazing.
Next I got Jim Carrey for Man on the Moon, and this is for his method acting as Andy Kaufman. So basically, it's a biopic on Andy Kaufman, and he was a crazy, crazy dude, of course. And like Jim Carrey, there's a documentary on Netflix,
It's amazing.
and he would get into real fights like on set and stuff.
Professional
Um,
wrestler almost kicked his ass.
yeah, and he would pretend to not know who Jim Carrey was every time that he would enter the set. So yeah, and he was unapologetic about it either. He thought he did a great job with it, and I would say so as well.
It's an interesting documentary because he kind of like they go back to interviews of him in real time as well,
Yeah.
and he's just like pretty much just talking crap about himself. Like, it was just like just such an asshole on set. Like,
Yeah.
to be able to like, you really wonder what kind of mental state that person is during, like what he was in on set to like really commit to a character like that and not break it. Like, it gets to a point where you almost convince yourself you're that person. It must be, because he never even like switched for a second and would do everything in that person's role. Anyways, like, just, yeah, it's a great documentary. I think it's on Netflix, so just watch that. But yeah, I'm going Robert De Niro in Raging Bull. He gets super fat for it, and which is interesting because it's even tougher because at part of the movie he's super fit because he's a boxer. He plays Jake LaMotta, and then a small part, like kind of the beginning and then the end of the movie, he's super fat. So I wonder how they did it, where like you have to film obviously certain parts, but then I guess there has to be a big like break in filming for him to either get, I don't know if they filmed him fat first or filmed him skinny first, but like they must have taken a break where they're just like, okay, go get fat and come back.
Yeah, Raging Bull's a really good movie. Bob De Niro is. You didn't really expect him to do a lot of transformations like that, but
I didn't think it was. I was like, is this Bobby? And then I'm like, okay, it's him, but is he wearing a fat suit? And then I looked up that he got fat for it. And I'm like, wow, because I never really see him transform in movies. I mean, he got ripped kind of for Taxi Driver, but that wasn't really that big of a difference.
And not lastly, I got Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. Just kind of not only the weight loss, but the kind of mental state I feel like a lot of people have to get to play that character, and to play it in such a different direction than it's ever been taken before. It takes a lot of guts, and especially when you don't know how it's going to be received by audiences. And he obviously pulled off one of the best acting performances of all time in this movie, really. And yeah, that's pretty much my take on it.
I feel like Joaquin's already halfway there in his method acting. He's just there's definitely a few screws loose in that character's head. But yeah, so for second, I'm going Christian Bale with The Machinist. It's a movie because of the transformation that I didn't watch for a long time because it just creeped me out how skinny he was. But you got to give it to him. I mean, it's another, we talked about Christian Bale before, but his ability to just go super skinny to super fat like that, and he'll do pretty much whatever it takes to become the character. And he's just, yeah, he's so frail looking in this movie. And it's a good movie. It's not amazing, but just, if it makes me not want to watch it for a bit, clearly it's quite the transformation. And he's just so good at doing them. I don't know. I'm putting him second.
And that was my final film. So, what was yours?
I'm just doing Jonah Hill in general, getting super skinny. I think it was specifically for like 22 Jump Street and then like Maniac. But this guy was just so big. Like, if you look back at like Superbad and some of his earlier roles, it's just more of like a respect thing. Oh man, he's such a different character now. And then he had to, I think when he went to 22 Jump Street or maybe 21 Jump Street, he lost a bunch of weight, but then he added 40 pounds back on for War Dogs. And then he lost it all again, and he's in really good shape now. So just Jonah Hill in general, that guy he must have lost so much weight.
What film was that, sorry?
Well, so I think he was,
in general?
I think he did it for Maniac. Like, I think he originally did it for 21 Jump Street, but like he wasn't like super skinny, and then he gained it back, but then got a lot skinnier for Maniac, because he, like, looking at Maniac, his face is just so much slimmer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll do it for actor transformations. But we will get into the 2015 Oscars now. So that is obviously movies released in 2014, and pretty good year for movies. So let's get into it. Best Picture nominations. So the winner of this year was Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Then it was American Sniper, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and then Whiplash. So how'd you feel about Birdman?
I didn't see it.
Great. 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 Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm gonna be ripped on for not seeing it because a lot of people have. But I did see Boyhood, loved it. Saw American Sniper, saw Theory of Everything, saw Whiplash. So I've seen pretty much. I haven't seen Selma. I've seen pretty much everything on here except for Birdman. Um, but if I were to pick one of the ones that I knew, I would go Boyhood just because of how crazy it is. Like it's a 10-year span that they filmed the movie over, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, like what if somebody dies partway through?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I guess you'd have to like off-screen death or something like that. But or like, what if it was the main kid? It would just
Yeah.
so much money. I'm guessing they're just expecting actors won't die, which is a fair thing to bet on. But yeah, I watched Birdman back in the day, and I didn't finish it. Me and my dad got like 3/4 the way through, and we both looked at each other. We're like, "What are we doing here? Like, this is not good." But I would definitely want to rewatch it now because I feel like I have kind of more respect for movies and filmmaking, I guess. So I definitely want to give it another try, but going based off my past memories, I didn't like it, so I would say it's not the winner, and I remember not liking it winning. Watched American Sniper and all that. I think Whiplash, I feel like even if I did watch Birdman, I love Whiplash. It would probably be my favorite movie on this anyways. J.K. Simmons is amazing in it, and it's an intense movie, and I love the finish to it. But yeah, I mean, Theory of Everything was okay. Just pretty much great acting performance by Eddie Redmayne, and all these. It was actually a pretty good selection for movies here. I think every one of these was pretty strong. American Sniper was good, but I mean, I don't think it was ever really had a chance of getting the the Oscar for Best Picture. And the Grand Budapest Hotel. I just love the way it's a great movie, but I just love the way Wes Anderson shoots. But yeah, I'd give it to Whiplash. That was the most entertaining movie of the year for me. But we will transition into actor in a leading role where Eddie Redmayne won.
Yeah, and I'm looking at actor in a supporting role as well, where J.K. Simmons won. And for both of these, I probably wouldn't change. Eddie Redmayne was phenomenal in The Theory of Everything, I thought. J.K. Simmons, he's, of course, Miles Teller is the lead, but he very
He's
well
the
could
best
have
actor in
been,
it.
yeah.
He takes over Miles Teller. He was kind of the puppet.
Yeah, so I don't really have too many alterations to these
Yeah, I
roles.
think for Eddie Redmayne, it's kind of more the difficulty of the role. Definitely trying to having to transition through the movie and stuff like that. I think Michael Keaton people were very mad that he didn't win. Again, I didn't really like Birdman, so I'd have to watch it again, but I wouldn't really give it to Michael Keaton just because of that. And Bradley Cooper was great. He's another movie you put a lot of a weight on. And Steve Carell, I love Foxcatcher. And Steve Carell, I think for Steve Carell, it's just kind of interesting to see him play this like deranged schizophrenic in it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different role for him. I don't know if it like he did well for what it was. I don't know if it's like an extremely difficult role to play just because he kind of put on an accent and everything, but the character is fairly emotionless and not like it's a great movie and it's a great role. Just I mean I think there's for actor in a leading role you kind of have to go like above the top, and Steve Carell's great in it, but I think there was probably other movies. I'm fine with Eddie Redmayne winning this one just because the pure difficulty of playing Stephen Hawking. And J.K. Simmons, yeah, I wouldn't give it to anybody else.
For actresses,
yeah, I was gonna kind of skip this one, except I think Rosamund Pike in Gone Girl was amazing.
Yes.
I think she should.
Yeah.
I didn't say C. Still Alice. I don't know how Julianne Moore did it, but Rosamund Pike was great in Gone Girl. She plays just an absolute psychopath, but like a really hot one that seems all sweet, but it'll just rip your heart out.
Yeah. Besides that, I'm not mad at the selections. For cinematography, Birdman won. I really liked the way that Grand Budapest Hotel was shot. I thought it was just very easy to look at and like very easy on the eyes, but also the colors and everything is very
I love
cool.
the symmetry. Like
So of course
every
I haven't seen Birdman, so I can't comment on it. But my pick would probably be Grand Budapest.
Yeah, the thing about probably the reason why Birdman takes it over the top is it's all in one shot,
Hmm.
which is pretty interesting. And it's kind of another thing where there's a lot of things going on in the background, and it's pretty interesting. And also, there's a lot more of difficulty with the one shot in Birdman compared to 1917, because 1917 had a lot more of an open landscape to kind of roam around, and a little more kind of, I would say, less jagged movements where they're kind of just like following the trenches. Where in Birdman, it's a lot of them on set and like behind the stages, just like zooming through up and down stairs, cross rooms, hallways, where like actors it like in 1917 I feel like kind of the extras can see where the camera is and where they have to be ready, where in Birdman it would be a lot tougher to kind of choreograph coming in and out. But yeah, so I'm okay with cinematography winning for Birdman, but yeah, I love just the way, kind of, if you watch any of Wes Anderson's movies, they kind of have the same style and theme, which I think is really effective and it works. And again, like I say, kind of like what happened with Good Time, the cinematography is kind of like a character in the movie where it adds a different kind of feature to it rather than just being where the person is. And like a lot of people would say, I guess cinematography or editing, you're not supposed to notice it, but definitely in Wes Anderson's movie, it's very prominent. So I definitely, Grand Budapest Hotel's up there, and I don't even know what Mr. Turner is or Ida. If I looked it up, maybe I'd recognize it. But I'm fine with Birdman winning, but I would have been fine with Grand Budapest Hotel too, and it's a great movie, so I wouldn't be mad about that.
Yeah.
So that pretty much does it for today's episode. So our next review will be Revolutionary Road, which is Leo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet coming back together, the dynamic duo from Titanic. And yeah, so watch it wherever you watch your movies, and tune in for the next episode of The Relay. So thank you for listening, and this is a see ya.